Welcome to my April book recap. You may be thinking this is literally just a stack of Hunger Games books, and you would be correct, it is. I did read more than just the Hunger Games, it was all on my Kindle. Let's get into it. I'm gonna go over the books that I read this month, what I'm currently reading, and I'm gonna compare what I read to what I had as my April TBR, and we'll see how well we did. I'm not thinking I did that well, but we'll find out. The first books I read are Catching Fire and Mockingjay. I'm not gonna go over them individually. They're rereads, and I feel like everyone has read Hunger Games, although I could talk about the Hunger Games for literally forever. I gave both of the books 4.5 stars. It's weird because it's like, to me this is a 5-star series, but individually I gave all the books 4.5 stars. I don't know if that really makes sense, but it does to me. I did, as I was rereading the book, I picked up on so much, specifically in Mockingjay, that I just like completely missed when I was younger and read the book. There were so many details in these books that I just like completely forgot about, because I've seen the movies a bunch and way more recently than I've read the book, but so much happens in the books that they take out in the movies that are like minor details, or at least you think they're minor details until we get to Sunrise on the Reaping, but that's a whole different thing. I'm really glad that I read these. I read both of these books in like 3 days max. Immediately after finishing Mockingjay, I did start The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but it took me almost 2 weeks to read. So I was also reading other books at the same time, so we'll get back to this book. These other books that I read while I was reading this, but I finished them first. The next book I read was Hooked by Emily McIntyre. I gave it 1 star. Did not like this book very much at all, and the only reason I kept reading it was partly because it was for my book club, and also partly because it just was so bad that I couldn't stop. Like, I couldn't look away. It was so bad, I needed to know what happened. My Fable review was literally what in the Peter Pan Wattpad fanfic. So this was the first dark romance that I've read, and I did not like it, but not because of the dark romance parts. Like, there was like, the murders that were happening were just so graphic for no reason, and the murders themselves were so graphic for no reason. I read a lot of murder mysteries, like I can deal with that. I used to watch Criminal Minds before I'd fall asleep, like that stuff doesn't bother me, but like it just was so unnecessary. Also, the characters had like no personality except for like what they were into, but even that wasn't like, I don't know, they just like were super boring. And at my book club we normally do like a personality quiz based on the characters, except for this one we just did it based on like general Disney villains because the characters had no personality to ask questions about. I also just like don't understand why it needed to be Peter Pan based. Like, that felt so forced. It's like a mafia gang romance book. So Hook, his name was James, but Hook was his like mafia name, but then like she called him James, but then she'd go back and forth calling him Hook or James, but depending on if she was mad at him or not. The straight on till morning line, I forget how they used it, but it just like was this one guy's saying, and they forcing like different characters to be different names from Peter Pan. And also Wendy's relationship with her dad was super weird. I don't know. We all agreed at the book club that was just like a weird, like, I don't know. And then there's just other things that happened that are like spoilers, so I don't want to say, but like I had to map out a family tree at one point just to make sure that everything was like legal. I will say the one Peter Pan reference that I kind of thought was pretty good was they called whatever the drug was, they called it Pixie. That was its nickname. So I was like, oh, like that was good. I appreciated that one, but the rest of it was just like, this feels like, how did it get published to be a book? Not sure how the other ones by her are, because I know it's like a whole series. It's like is it the Never After series? Yes, it's the Never After series. I wonder if she has any other books, or if she just has the Never After series. Oh no, she has others. She has a Sugar Lake series, and then Defying the Stars. I wonder how the other series is, because it was definitely not like not a romance that I would ever pick up myself or like enjoyed, like even if it didn't have all the Peter Pan forced references. But I wonder if like the other books are better, or if they would be like, not for me, but I could see how this is enjoyable. I just don't understand. The average rating on that on Hooked was 3.78 stars. Like, that's pretty high. Definitely a 1 star. Would have been a DNF if it wasn't for my book club. And we just like full twist around. The next book I read is The Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchinson. 5 stars. Easiest 5 stars. The book is also so messed up, like giving it 5 stars feels wrong, but like I technically read it in 2 days, but it was within 24 hours that I read it, that I started it and then I finished it. I could not put it down. It's so well written. The things that it talks about are so messed up, but like also definitely not like unrealistic in things that could happen in life. Horrible, but like I went into The Butterfly Garden pretty blind. My friend that I work with told me that I should read it, and I didn't really know what it was about. I just knew that it was really good and really messed up, and both of those are true. if you hear Wren playing in the background, just like excuse that. Basically, this book is about these girls who were kidnapped, and then they have these giant, elaborate, intricate tattoos of butterflies on their back. When the butterfly garden is discovered, this is one of the girls who's being questioned, and so it's her story and her take and like of everything that happens. And so you go back and forth between like the Wren, can you stop digging? So you go back and forth between the cop that's questioning her's POV and her POV, but like the cop the questioning feels like, okay, present time, like you're in the interview room, but then her answers, which are her point of view, feel like you're back in that time. So like this is technically what she's responding with, or at least is what I think that's what it's supposed to be, but it like puts you in her time at the butterfly garden, and it's just so, it's so messed up, so well written. I really don't have much else to say than that. I recommend it, but in like I understand how messed up this book is, but go read it. This is a series, the collector series. There are other books. I think there's 4, maybe 5, but I think it's 4. I haven't read any of the other ones. I would maybe be interested to, but I've heard that they're still pretty good, but just nowhere near as good as the first one, so that's why I haven't read it yet. Next up, I read Never Lie by Frida McFadden. It was actually pretty good on audiobook. Like, I liked the narrator. Would that be what they're called? Whoever was reading it. Their voice was good. I couldn't, like, I gave the book 3 stars. The last book that I read by Frida McFadden was, like, the Housemaid series, and that was so good, and I've been trying to find the right book by her to read next, because I heard that The Boyfriend wasn't as good as like everyone was hoping it would be, and so I just like wasn't sure what would be a good next Frida McFadden book to not be disappointed, and that definitely wasn't this one. Like, it was good. I think I was expecting more of a twist at the end than this one was. It definitely was like, I didn't know what it was from the beginning, but I kind of guessed roughly what the ending would be, like a little bit before it actually happened, so it wasn't as like shocking as a lot of the other, like, as her other books and as I've heard to expect from her. So I think I just had too high of hopes going into this book. I also thought the female main character was super annoying. She just was so annoying to me. And her husband, oh my god, all he did was gaslight her. All he did was gaslight her. He just, everything, like, he just also didn't care about things that he should care about. Like, you hear noises upstairs, like, maybe you should care. You're in the, like, the premise of the book was this couple got married, and they like their relationship was like pretty like high speed. Like, I think they dated for like 6 months before they got married, before they got engaged, or they'd been together for like under 2 years and they were already married, which is, in my opinion, pretty fast. All of her friends said that he was like a huge red flag, and everything he did was a red flag, and anytime he did something that was like definitely red flag-ish, she'd be like, yeah, my friends would, like, in her head, like, her thoughts would be like, my friends would say this is a red flag, but I think this is like so sweet or fun or like cute that he did this thing, or like he's so good to me. And it's like, girl, all he does is gaslight you. Every time you say something or concerned about something, he's like diminishing your feelings or trying to convince you that you're the crazy one, when like actually, like, no, like, this is really happening. The plot of this book is basically this married couple, they go and they're looking at houses because they're trying to buy a house, and so they go and they're touring this house, but there's this huge snowstorm, so they end up getting snowed in, and the realtor like didn't even make it to the house, so it's literally just the 2 of them in this house, but like everything is covered in dust. And then the female main character realizes that like this is the house of this like well-known therapist who like wrote books and like was this huge best-selling author, and she died or was murdered or kidnapped. You don't know the details of that. 3 years, I think it was, prior to when they're touring the house. No, the house has not been touched since then, so like all of her stuff is still there. The guy just was so stupid. He's like, oh, like, let me go check the fridge and see if there's food, and then there was food in the fridge, but it was like literally just like bologna and like something else, and he's like, oh, the realtor must have stocked it for us. You think the realtor bought like bologna for you for this house tour? Like, I don't know, he just was like okay with so many things that were like super random and like definitely very, very, very questionable. He was just okay with them and just like didn't think anything of them. And the ending makes that even more, like, this was frustrating as it was, but then once you know the ending, like, I was even more frustrated by that. It definitely wasn't a bad book by any means. Like, 3 stars is still fine. Like, I wouldn't recommend it, but if someone was like, oh, I'm gonna read this book, I'd be like, oh, okay, like, yeah, like, I don't know, I wouldn't try to stop someone from reading it. I don't think reading it versus listening to it really would have had any difference. It just like wasn't what I was expecting or hoping for from Miss Frida McFadden, but I'm still gonna give probably another one of her books a try, so I'm open to suggestions of what the best Freida McFadden books are. And then finally, after finishing those 3 books, I also finished The Battle of Songbirds and Snakes. I gave this 2.75 stars. I kind of went back and forth on the rating for a bit. I am very glad that I read it, especially after reading Sunrise and the Reaping. Like, the things that happen in this book and the context and the characters that you meet, like, there's so much of this book also ties into Sunrise and the Reaping, but I kind of hated every minute of reading it. Once I got to part 3 and we were in District 12, then it was more interesting to me, but the whole Hunger Games, I just I didn't really care about. Snow was a very important character in the Hunger Games. However, I just had no interest in knowing his story because parts of it felt like, I guess since you're in his perspective, he's trying to justify the things that he does, and I just don't care to hear his justifications. It is interesting to see his backstory because you can also see how that, like, still plays into his choices and everything that he did in the Hunger Games trilogy. Even, like, what is that, like 65 years later, because this is the 10th Hunger Games, so like 65 years later, you can still see how the things that happened in this book affected him. So that was very interesting, and I'm definitely glad that I read it. I have no need to reread this. Like, I would definitely reread the original trilogy and reread Sunrise and the Reaping again in time, but I have no need to reread this book. I know after the movie came out, like, everyone was, like, making, like, thirst traps over Snow, and, like, that was obviously the exact opposite of the point, but I do think that she could, like, don't get me wrong, he's despicable in this book, he's despicable all around, but I think more could have been done to, like, make people hate him. The hatred I felt for Snow after Sunrise and the Reaping versus after this book is just, like, they're not even on the same playing field. I didn't like him here. I absolutely despised him as if he was a real person doing these things after Sunrise and the Reaping. Which brings us to Sunrise and the Reaping. 5 stars, the easiest 5 stars ever. Like, this, after I finished this book, sat on the couch for an hour. I could not move for an hour after reading this book. I sat and stared at the wall for like a solid 20-30 minutes, and then I started scrolling through TikTok to look at people's theories, thoughts, and opinions, and just, I full spiraled. The only person that I had known who read this book was my boyfriend's coworker, so I was spam texting her, like, literally blowing up her messages with everything. I was truly devastated. I went to go finish this book sitting in a coffee shop, and I had to put it down with like 20 pages left because it, like, was causing me, like, physical heart, like, my heart hurt for Haymitch. I've never wanted to hug a fictional character as bad as I did after Haymitch. I literally have so many thoughts on this book, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody. The number of characters from the other 4 books tied into here, and just the background that you get, I feel like I need to reread this book already. I have not recovered from this, and I finished this weeks ago, like, this book. Let me read you the first sentence. Okay, well, first of all, before you even get through part 1, she has all these quotes, which are just, like, so relevant to today, and just so relevant to this book. The first quote is a George Orwell quote. It says, "All propaganda is lies, even when one is telling the truth. I don't think this matters so long as one knows what one is doing and why." And then the second quote was a William Blake quote, and it says, "A truth that's told with bad intent beats all the lies you can invent." There's more, but anyway, part 1 is called The Birthday. The first sentence is, "Happy birthday, Haymitch. The upside of being born on Reaping Day is that you can sleep late on your birthday." Haymitch's birthday is Reaping Day. He had to be a mentor for people, for children, every birthday for 25 years. That's horrible. That just is not even close to the worst thing that happens in this book. Haymitch deserves the world, and and then you get to the end, and you think the epilogue can't hurt you, and the epilogue hurts you so much. I, like, full on cried. I think I need to do a separate spoiler video of this book and just, like, compile all the theories that I found and everything. I think I might annotate this book to give as a birthday present, so maybe we'll annotate it together and it can be full spoilers and I can talk about my feelings fully without having to filter. But if you haven't read this book, go read Songbirds and Snakes. Suffer through it. You can do it. It's so worth it. And get to this book and read this book. You need to. I am so glad that I read the trilogy beforehand because it also just, like, there's so many more details in there than just the movies. Like, the cutting out of how Katniss got the Mockingjay pin, the changing of that in the first movie criminal. It was criminal then, and it's even more criminal after this book. Like, was talking to one of my coworkers, and he was asking me like what the best order to read these books are, because his wife is also making him read them, and I said absolutely read them in the order that they were released. Like, don't go chronological order. It just won't hit the same. This needs to be book 5, like, that you read. You have to go Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and then this book, and then you'll just need time to sit there and question everything. I'm currently reading 2 books. I'm currently reading Beartown, or no, this is not Beartown. This is Us Against You. It's the second book after Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I'm about a quarter of the way through. I can't get into it as easily as I got into Beartown. I like his writing style. It just doesn't, like, make me need to read the book. Like, once I'm reading it, I'm good. I'm enjoying it, but there's nothing that, like, makes it exciting for me to, like, need to read now, you know? And, like, I just still don't know what the whole point is. Like, I'm on page 118, and I just, like, don't know, like, what the point is, and if it's about saving the hockey club, then that just, like, they're not doing a good job of highlighting that as, like, the main plot. Like, I just feel like there's not a main plot. With Beartown, it was so clear, like, what the story was about. I don't know, I enjoyed Beartown a lot, but currently not vibing with this book. Based on my current opinions, I'm not reading book 3, but I am going to try to finish this, because maybe that'll turn around. I just needed something to be reading in tandem with Us Against You, so I started No Way Home by Jodie Feldman. I got this at the used bookstore. I'm literally on chapter 3. I'm 15 pages in, so not super far in, but liking it so far. It's about these 2 girls who are in exchange programs, so they swap families, and then, like, some crazy stuff starts happening to the American that's living in Italy because of the Italian that's living in America. So we'll see. So far so good. So we're gonna go through my TBR that I made for April, and we're gonna see how I did. So first up on my TBR were my 2 book of the month books, and I did not read them. I didn't even look at them or think about them whatsoever. I'm a little upset that I didn't read either of them in April, because I've been doing really good about reading my book of the month book in the month that it is the book of the month for. Next up, we're Catching Fire and Mockingjay. Read both of those. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, great, read it. Sunrise on the Reaping, read it. Hooked, read it. Then we have Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. That was for Soph Moscow's book club. I have it. It's on my shelf somewhere up here. Haven't read it yet. Kind of forgot about it. I still have a day or 2, but probably not going to read it. I will give it a shot, though, because I do still want to read a Riley Sager book. Then we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Wanted to read it. Still want to read it. I was going to read it after Sunrise on the Reaping, but I had a feeling that whatever I read after that just wasn't gonna be, I just, like, knew that I wouldn't like whatever I read after Sunrise on the Reaping as much as I maybe would have some other time. So didn't get to that. Didn't get to The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and I am still carrying Murdering Your Employer by Rupert Holmes around with me as if I'm gonna start reading it, and I have yet to do that. Not horrible, but not great. I kind of knew I was gonna read all the Hunger Games books because I was going back to back, so, like, that wasn't really, but I guess I did kind of stop reading for a little bit after Sunrise on the Reaping. And then to finish this off, I will pick my favorite book. It's gonna be a shocker. No one sees this one coming whatsoever. Sunrise on the Reaping. The easiest 5-star. If I didn't read this in the same month as Butterfly Garden, then I think Butterfly Garden would have been my number 1 pick, but this book is so good at putting me into a slump. So we need something equally as good to get me out. And now we will have Wren pick. What's your favorite? Can you pick one? Can you pick one? Really? That's what you picked? I'd say that's my least favorite, Wren. Wren picked The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.